All right, strap yourselves in, folks, because today we are diving headfirst into one of the most talked about matches of the Champions Trophy, India versus Pakistan.
Oh, yeah, this one was a real humdinger.
This wasn't just another game on the schedule.
Definitely not.
This was a clash of titans, a match steeped in history.
And rivalry.
Exactly.
Yes.
It had enough drama to keep you on the edge of your seat from the first ball to the very last.
I was glued to the screen the whole time.
So, get ready, because we're going to break down a record-breaking performance by a true legend who silenced all his doubters, the somewhat shocking unraveling of a champion team, and we'll unearth some hidden narratives buried deep within the match stats.
Some real gems in there if you know where to look.
Okay, let's jump right in and start with the man of the hour, Virat Kohli. I mean, this guy just keeps defying expectations.
Right.
Some people, some commentators are starting to whisper, maybe his peak is behind him, maybe he's past his prime.
The whispers were getting louder, for sure.
And then, boom, he just drops this bomb of a performance.
Yeah.
A 51st ODI century.
Unbelievable.
He also became the fastest batsman to ever reach 14,000 ODI runs. And he did it against Pakistan, no less.
It's almost like he thrives on the pressure, The bigger the stage, the better he performs.
Well, he definitely delivered on this stage.
He sure did.
What I find fascinating is that he didn't just achieve these milestones, he absolutely smashed them.
Yeah, he obliterated those records.
Like, to put it in perspective, he reached 14,000 runs in just 287 innings.
Think about that for a second. 287 innings.
That's a staggering 63 innings faster than Sachin Tendulkar, who, let's be honest, is considered by many to be one of the greatest batsmen of all time.
I mean, Sachin is a legend, there's no doubt about it.
Exactly. And Kohli just blew past his record. And let's not forget, he did this in a high-stakes Champions Trophy match against their arch-rival Pakistan. I mean, the pressure was immense, but he made it look effortless.
It's like pressure fuels him, The more pressure there is, the better he plays.
There's this amazing anecdote about Axar Patel declining a run to give Kohli the chance to reach his century. And apparently Kohli's response was, "I told you, relax." Can you believe that?
That's classic Kohli right there, ice in his veins.
It shows just how much self-belief he has, even when everyone else is doubting him. This wasn't just a display of skill, it was a statement.
Oh, absolutely. It was a statement about his mental fortitude, his determination to prove everyone wrong.
And to really drive home how incredible this achievement is, we need to look at the other legends who reached this milestone. Sachin Tendulkar, like we said, to 350 innings.
Right.
Kumar Sangakkara, another absolute giant of the game.
One of the best.
He reached it in 389 innings. Kohli, 287.
It's mind-boggling, really.
And get this, Kohli is now on track to surpass Sangakkara and become the second highest run scorer in ODIs of all time.
It's incredible. He's rewriting the record books, and he's showing no signs of slowing down.
I think he's getting better with age, which is just insane to think about.
It really is.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got a whole match to break down, and we're just getting started.
We've got a lot more to unpack.
Stay tuned, because we'll be back right after the break to dive deep into the match itself.
So we've talked a lot about Kohli's heroics.
Yeah, what performance?
But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the match itself.
All right, let's get into it.
I know we've got a lot of juicy stats to dive into.
We always do.
But before we do that, for folks who might not be as familiar with the ins and outs of cricket.
Yeah, not everyone's a cricket expert.
Right, can you quickly explain what dot balls are and why they matter so much?
Yeah, that's a good place to start because it's a pretty crucial concept.
Absolutely. So a dot ball is essentially a delivery where the batsman doesn't score any runs. Simple as that.
Okay, sounds pretty straightforward.
It is, but here's the thing. You might think, so what? It's just one ball. But trust me, in cricket, every single ball matters, especially in limited overs formats like ODIs.
Right, because you've only got a limited number of overs to score as many runs as possible.
Exactly, and that's where dot balls come into play. They build pressure, they force batsmen to take risks.
Which can lead to wickets?
Precisely, and ultimately, they can really dictate the flow of the entire game.
Gotcha. Okay, so how did dot balls play a role in this epic India-Pakistan clash? Give us the lowdown.
Well, let's just say Pakistan had a bit of a dot ball problem in this match.
Oh, how bad are we talking?
They had a whopping 147 dot balls in their innings.
147. Wow, that's like almost half the deliveries they faced.
It is, and that, my friend, is a recipe for disaster. This excessive number of dot balls prevented them from building any real momentum and ultimately putting up a competitive total.
It's no wonder they ended up with a score of 241.
Exactly. It's like they were playing with one hand tied behind their backs. And if you compare that to India's approach,
Yeah, how did India handle those dot balls?
night and day, my friend. Night and day. Over 42% of India's runs came from boundaries, while Pakistan only managed a little over 30%. That difference in intent, that willingness to attack, was evident throughout the match.
So India came out swinging, while Pakistan played it a bit too safe.
You could say that. And in a high-stakes match like this, against a team as strong as India, you can't afford to be passive.
You got to take risks. You got to put pressure on the boulders.
You got it, and that's precisely what India did. They dictated the terms of the match from the very beginning, and Pakistan struggled to keep up.
It's interesting because even though Pakistan had a decent start, 151 for 2, those dot balls really came back to haunt them.
It's like they were setting themselves up for a fall with that overly defensive approach. Cricket's a game of momentum, and once you lose it, it's tough to get it back.
And India just never let them get that momentum going.
Exactly. They kept the pressure on, kept taking wickets, and never allowed Pakistan to settle in.
You mentioned earlier that Pakistan's defensive approach played a big role in their downfall.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Sure. I think a key example here is Mohammad Rizwan's innings.
Oh, yeah. What was going on there?
He scored just 24 runs off 50 balls.
Which is painfully slow by modern ODI standards.
Painfully slow is putting it mildly. His ultra-defensive approach put a ton of pressure on the other batsmen. They had to take more risks to try and make up for his slow scoring.
Yeah, I remember watching the match, and I kept wondering why Rizwan wasn't being more aggressive. It almost felt like he was playing a different game than everyone else.
It's hard to say for sure what the thinking was behind that approach, but it's possible he was trying to anchor the innings, build a solid foundation.
Okay, I see.
But in doing so, he ended up consuming way too many deliveries.
And putting the rest of the lineup in a tough spot.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance, You need to be aggressive enough to score runs, but you also can't throw caution to the wind and risk losing wickets.
And it feels like Rizwan went too far in the other direction.
It's a learning experience, for sure. And to add to that, the partnership between Rizwan and Saud Shakil, although it did yield a century stand, had a run rate of just 4.33.
Ouch.
That's the lowest for a century stand for Pakistan in ODIs since 2014.
Wow. So their slow scoring rate really did come back to bite them.
Absolutely. It's like they were stuck in a time warp. In the modern game, you just can't be that passive, especially against a team like India, which has such a potent bowling attack. You have to take a fight to them. You have to disrupt their rhythm.
Speaking of India's bowling, they were on fire that day.
They were relentless.
Hardik Pandya came in and just ripped through Pakistan's middle order. He picked up some crucial wickets. Babar Azam, Saud Shakil.
Pandya was in beast mode. He was bowling with pace, accuracy, and aggression. The Pakistani batsmen simply couldn't handle him.
And then you had Kuldeep Yadav.
The left arm wrist spinner.
That guy is just magic. He kept the Pakistani batsmen guessing the whole time. His 4 wickets were instrumental in India's victory.
Yadav's comeback from that injury has been remarkable. He's bowling with so much confidence and control. He's a match winner, plain and simple.
It's interesting how, after Abrar Ahmed dismissed Shubman Gill, the Pakistani bowlers seemed almost afraid to bowl to Kohli.
Right, especially considering how he'd struggled against leg spin recently.
It's like they were intimidated by his reputation and the idea that he might just tear into their attack.
It's understandable. Kohli's a force of nature when he's in the zone.
And they ended up bowling defensively, trying to contain him rather than attack. And that, of course, allowed Kohli to settle in and dictate the terms of the game.
Classic mistake. Never let Kohli get comfortable.
Once he gets his eye in, it's game over.
It's like watching a masterclass in batting. His innings in this match was just another example of his mental toughness, his flawless technique, and his sheer hunger to win.
He just elevates the whole game when he's in that kind of form.
For sure. Okay, so we've talked a lot about India's dominance and Pakistan's struggles, but were there any other interesting stats or hidden narratives that emerged from this match? Something that might have flown under the radar?
Well, one stat that I thought was particularly interesting was that India had actually failed to take a wicket in the middle overs, overs 11 through 40, across their first 2 matches of the Champions Trophy.
Oh, wow, really?
But against Pakistan, they broke that drought, taking 3 crucial wickets in quick succession.
So they identified a weakness and then fixed it, just in time for the biggest match of the tournament.
Exactly. They recognized how important it was to take wickets in the middle overs to stifle the opposition's momentum, and they went out and did it.
That shows a lot of adaptability and a willingness to learn from their mistakes. And let's not forget, they went into this game with a streak of 12 consecutive lost tosses.
Oh, yeah. You gotta mess with your head a little bit, right?
I mean, to lose 12 tosses in a row, it almost feels like fate is against you. It definitely can play a role in how you approach a match, but India showed incredible resilience. They didn't let that streak get to them. They went out there and delivered a phenomenal performance.
Mental toughness, for sure. And hey, while we're on the topic of stats, let's not forget Kohli's fielding. He broke the record for most catches as a fielder for India in ODIs during this match.
He's not just a batting machine, he's a fielding maestro as well.
He's everywhere on the field.
It's amazing to watch. His commitment to fitness, his agility, his anticipation. He's a force to be reckoned with.
He's now overtaken Mohammad Azharuddin's record of 156 catches, and he's currently sitting third on the all-time ODI list, only behind Mahela Jayawardene and Ricky Ponting.
And to think, he's still got plenty of cricket left in him. Who knows what other records he'll shatter.
This match was just another chapter in his already incredible career. His performance was nothing short of spectacular. He was in complete control from the moment he walked at the bat. And that century, just a masterpiece.
A classic Kohli innings. Power, precision, impeccable timing. He made it look effortless.
He was in his element, facing those pace bowlers who were giving him plenty of opportunities to score. And when Kohli gets going like that, there's no stopping him.
Joy to watch.
And the way he reached his century, hitting the winning runs with a boundary, talk about dramatic.
Oh yeah, pure cricketing drama. A moment that'll be etched in the memories of fans for years to come.
It was the perfect ending to a truly remarkable innings. It was a reminder to the world that Virat Kohli is still the king of ODI cricket.
His legacy just keeps growing, doesn't it? And this performance against Pakistan, well, it was a testament to his immense talent, his unwavering determination, his sheer love for the game.
It was inspiring.
It was. Okay, before we wrap things up, there's one point I want to circle back to. Earlier, you mentioned that Pakistan's batting approach was overly defensive.
Yeah.
And while that's generally true, they did manage to score a century stand.
It's true, they weren't completely passive the whole time.
Exactly. So maybe it's not fair to say they were being overly defensive all the time, but when you look at the big picture, the slow scoring rate, the excessive dot balls, and that collapse after Rizwan's dismissal, it does suggest that they were maybe a little too cautious.
Like they lacked the intent to really take control of the match.
Right. It's like they were playing not to lose rather than playing to win.
And you get a team like India, you can't afford to do that.
You got to go for it. Okay, so that brings us to a big question. What does this match tell us about the future of this epic India-Pakistan rivalry?
Things are definitely shifting.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This rivalry has been a roller coaster ride for decades. But lately, there's been a noticeable shift. India has now won their last 6 completed ODIs against Pakistan.
Wow, 6 in a row. That's not just luck at that point. What's changed in how India approaches these matches?
Well, for one thing, India's team is incredibly strong right now. Top to bottom, they've got world-class players in every department. Batting, bowling, fielding.
The depth of their talent is pretty remarkable.
Guys like Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Hardik Pandya, Deep Yadav. These guys are all match winners on their day.
It's true, they've got a lot of firepower. But is that all it is? Just having good players doesn't guarantee you'll win, especially against a team as passionate and unpredictable as Pakistan.
Right. There's definitely more to it than just talent. I think there's also a sense of calm, a composure in the Indian team these days.
Like they're not letting the pressure get to them.
Exactly. They're playing with freedom, they're expressing themselves, and that translates into dominant performances.
You know, I was reading an article that talked about how the Indian team management has really focused on building a strong team culture. They've emphasized mental conditioning, clear communication, and creating a supportive environment where players feel empowered to take risks and play their natural game.
That's huge. Team culture is often overlooked, but it's a critical factor in achieving success at the highest level. When players feel supported and trusted by their teammates and coaches, it can have a huge impact on their confidence and their performance.
So what about Pakistan? Where do they go from here? They're a proud cricketing nation with a history of producing amazing players. Are they just going to accept India's dominance?
I don't think so. Pakistan is known for bouncing back from tough situations. They have a passionate fan base and some incredibly talented players.
Do you think we might see a resurgence from them in the near future?
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's what makes this rivalry so exciting. The ebb and flow, the unpredictability. You just never know what's going to happen next.
Exactly, and that's what we, as fans, love about it. The drama, the tension, the passion. It all adds up to a truly unforgettable spectacle.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We unpacked Kohli's resurgence, analyzed Pakistan's missteps, and explored the evolving dynamics of this legendary rivalry.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And remember, folks, we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to discover about this match, the individual player performances, and the broader context of the Champions Trophy.
I encourage you to dive deeper, watch the highlights, read expert analyses, and form your own opinion. Every match, every inning tells a story.
It's up to us as passionate fans to really listen and try to understand what those stories are telling us.
And for those of you who might be new to cricket, don't be intimidated. It's a sport that's full of intricate details and nuances, but it's also a game of passion, skill, and sheer entertainment. Give it a chance. You might just find yourself hooked.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep that love for the game alive. So we've talked about Kohli, we've dug into the match itself,
Really dissected it.
but the big question looming over everything is, what does this all mean for the future of this rivalry? India versus Pakistan, it's always a clash of the titans, but things are definitely shifting, right?
It's always been a roller coaster, this rivalry.
Oh yeah, full of ups and downs.
Nail-biting finishes, you never know who's going to come out on top.
But you teased earlier that India has kind of found a winning formula against Pakistan, at least recently. What makes you say that?
Look at the numbers. India has won their last 6 completed ODIs against Pakistan.
6 in a row.
Yep, and that streak goes all the way back to the 2017 Champions Trophy final. At this point, it's gotta be more than just luck.
It's a pattern.
It is. So what's changed? How are they approaching these matches differently?
I think it comes down to a few things. First off, India's team composition right now is just incredibly strong. They've got world-class players in every department. Batting, bowling, fielding, you name it, they've got it covered.
Yeah, their lineup is stacked.
Guys like Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Hardik Pandya, Kuldeep Yadav. I mean, any one of those players can win you a match on their day.
True, but is it all about talent?
Yeah.
You need more than just talented players to win, especially against a team like Pakistan, with their history, their passion. Right, talent's just the starting point. There's also this, this aura of calmness around the Indian team these days. They're not letting the pressure get to them. They're not choking under the weight of expectations.
I see what you mean. Like, they're playing with a sense of freedom.
Exactly. They're expressing themselves, they're playing their natural game, and that's translating into these dominant performances.
You know, I was reading an article the other day, and it talked about how the Indian team management has really made a conscious effort to build a strong team culture.
That's so important.
They've focused on mental conditioning, clear communication, creating an environment where players feel supported, where they feel like they can take risks.
And that makes a huge difference.
Do you think that's part of the reason behind their success?
Oh, absolutely. Team culture is often overlooked, but it's crucial. When you've got players who feel supported, who trust their teammates and their coaches, it creates this positive energy. And that translates into better performance on the field.
It's like a chain reaction.
It is. So where does this leave Pakistan?
Yeah, what happens now?
They're a proud cricketing nation. They've got a history of producing some of the best players in the world.
They're not just going to disappear.
Definitely not. And I don't think they're going to roll over and accept India's dominance. Pakistan, they've got this knack for bouncing back, you know? They've got a passionate fan base. They've got the talent.
It's in their DNA.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a resurgence from Pakistan sooner rather than later. They're going to come back fighting, I guarantee it.
That's what makes this rivalry so great.
It's what keeps us coming back for more.
That back and forth, the unpredictability, you just never know what's going to happen.
That's the beauty of it. The drama, the tension, the passion, it all adds up to something truly special.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We dug into Kohli's incredible performance, broke down Pakistan's struggles, and explored the ever-evolving dynamics of this legendary rivalry. What a ride.
It has been. But remember, this is just the beginning. There's always more to discover, more to learn about this beautiful game.
Always something new to uncover.
So keep exploring, keep those conversations going, and most importantly, keep that passion for cricket burning bright.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep swinging for those boundaries.